The League of Women Voters of Ripon Area Candidate Forum. This is a primary forum for candidates from Ripon City Council as well as mayor. The mayoral candidate Ted Grant has agreed to participate, as well as City Council candidates Jolene Schatzinger, Dave Gallops. Oh, just Jolene and Dave tonight. We have John Splitt, who is not able to attend, Terry Grunart, who is unable to attend, and unfortunately, since Terry is not here, Mark is not allowed to speak, even though he is in attendance, and we thank him for that. According to FCC rules concerning empty chair forums, so instead of this being an official forum, it's going to be more of a meet the candidate situation. Following this event, we will have a forum for the Ripon School District candidates. Katie Grady and Shannon Lampe are here with us tonight. Lori Machmueller, Kelley Nielsen, and Denise Martinez were not available to attend. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. It encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. The League of Women Voters of the United States was founded in 1920 by Carrie Chapman Catt, who was born right here in Ripon, Wisconsin. The candidates have drawn for position and will begin. We will alternate questions. Candidates have 2 minutes for opening remarks, as well as 2 minutes to answer questions that have been submitted beforehand and screened for appropriateness. Each candidate will have 1 minute to close. And when you are writing out questions, please make sure that your questions are applicable to everyone on the board. They may not pertain to just one person. And with that, we will get started. Cal is timing, and Dave, if you would like to go first.
Thanks. I'm Dave Gallops, running for a re-election, District 3. So I guess a little bios in order. You're probably wondering, a lot of people ask me about the accent. So I grew up in Louisiana, moved up here about 30 years ago. My kids went to school here. So we've been here a long time now. I think I've lived here more than anywhere else now. Reason I'm running, just wanted to do my part, I guess. I wanted to be able to help the city however I can. So other than that, I'm retired last year. I'm a retired electrician. So I worked the construction trades for, again, about 40 years. And so that's kind of what I bring here, is being able to know infrastructure. So that's kind of my strong suit of what I bring to the city. So thanks.
All right. My name is Theodore Grant. I am currently the mayor. I'm just finishing the second term and running for a third. I thank the League of Women Voters for inviting me here today, as well as the other candidates, Dave, Jolene, and Mark, for coming out tonight. I'm running for a third term because I would like to continue the work that I've begun in the last two. We have several large projects that we're working on, including the Public Works facility that we're looking at breaking ground on this summer, and I'd like to see that one through. In the last two terms, I've worked on things such as the Senior Activity Center and Community Center at Murray Park, as well as helping to create the Parks and Rec department here for the city. It's been many decades since we've had a position for that role. Again, thanks for inviting me, and look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Ted. Jolene?
Good evening. I am Jolene Schatzinger. I am running for a second term for District 4 of Ripon City Council. Now, I wrote a little something because I'm feeling a little bit fuzzy. I feel like I might have a cold. Don't worry, I don't have COVID. I did take a test. But first, I do want to thank the League of Women Voters of the Ripon area for hosting tonight's forum. I am a proud member of the League of Women Voters, a nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering everyone to participate in our democracy. And speaking of democracy, I want to thank each and every individual from my district, District 4, who has brought forth their concerns and ideas for our city. I value every single individual in my district, and I want to speak directly to them right now. I don't take your vote for granted. I have tried my best to represent you these past 4 years and to ask good questions. I have tried earnestly to make the best decisions possible on your behalf. Through my service as your alderperson, I have learned what matters to District 4. You, like me, want to see a city that is a safe place to raise a family, a community that welcomes newcomers and cherishes our elders, where our neighborhoods are taken care of, which includes having well-kept roads, sidewalks, and parks, and you want to see a local business community that is thriving. You want to see us both retain business and attract new business. You want emergency services that are available when needed, and you want those who put themselves in harm's way for our safety supported and valued. I too want these things. And I feel that there is more work to do, and I'm excited to continue to do that to the best of my ability. So I want to see Ripon be a place that is prosperous, friendly, and well taken care of. I've lived in Ripon for more than 15 years. I have worked in this county for all of this time, and I believe in the future of this city. So I'm happy to be here tonight with my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Jolene, and I do thoroughly enjoy your glass from Patina V, available in downtown Ripon, Wisconsin.
Support local.
All right, now we'll head into the question portion of the evening, and we will begin with Ted this time. Everyone wants good infrastructure. Can you tell us what you consider infrastructure? What are your priorities in maintaining or enhancing Ripon's infrastructure? And if at any time you need me to repeat the question, please just ask.
All right. Well, infrastructure is pretty much everything from roads, sidewalks, parks, water utilities, both clean water and sewer. Pretty much anything on or under the roads is infrastructure. And as far as priorities go, out of all those infrastructure things, priority, in my opinion, has to be the water utilities. It does have great implications on our health, whether if there's a failure in the water utilities, everyone could have problems. So we want to make sure that those are primarily the focus for utilities. However, roads and sidewalks are important as well. I know there's a lot of people that have difficulties with some of the streets in town, and we are doing our best. It's a very expensive thing to keep up with, and we are working on solutions to get to as many of those roads as possible. So we are working on it, and we know there is more work to be done.
All set? Thank you, Ted. Jolene?
The mayor said it well that what infrastructure is. For me, I believe that there are sort of two angles at this. There is the physical infrastructure, which is so important to not only retaining our current businesses, what we are doing, making sure things run smoothly, but also having a strong infrastructure of our water, of our roads. I think probably that's the number one issue I hear of people when they contact me during the year, roads and sidewalks. And so we want to make sure that we are continuing to continuously improve, because unfortunately our water utility has gotten to a place where it is because of deferred maintenance. And so I am proud to say that I am for making sure, and our city council in these last 4 years has come a long ways in making sure we have improvement plans and making sure that we are keeping track of, I think for the first time, we have now a park master plan, we have a comprehensive outdoor recreation plan, we have a capital improvement plan. Probably that is not the first time, but these are things we are making sure that we're not surprised by the future. So there's that infrastructure. I also want to go with the sort of behind the scenes infrastructure. Do we have a sound infrastructure to make sure our citizens know who to go to, and who to talk to, and how to be heard? I think that is equally important for our city. The physical infrastructure and then that behind-the-scenes infrastructure, making sure our citizens feel heard and listened to. And I think we're doing a good job, and like always, we have room to grow, and I'm excited to continue that improvement.
Thank you, Jolene. Dave?
I agree with them. You know, water and sewer is everything. I mean, we don't have clean water, we're going to be hurting. And you see a lot of these communities that with the PFAS, there's all kinds of things going on. The water main breaks, things of this nature, and we're trying to stay ahead of this. And no one's going to be, you know, if you got sewer backing up into your basements, so that's huge. The next thing is buildings, and it's like we're building a new public works building, and we bought new trucks. And I heard some complaints about that. But before we did this, the workers were spending more time towing the trucks back to get fixed instead of out doing the work. And we found a way to get the trucks at a decent price. And everyone's working more efficiently, and instead of driving around in some beater truck, they can take pride. And they do. That's why we're getting more done. That's why you're seeing the parks look so much better. And the roads, again, the maintenance, way back in the day, it wasn't taken care of. So we've had a lot of big problems, and now we've got to completely redo the road. Years ago, we could have just glossed over, did a little minor surface repair, and we didn't do that back in the day. We're going to get back to that so that we can give people decent roads to drive on. We're fixing the sidewalks, getting them where they need to be, and taking care of the trees before they become a major problem. So it is very important that we do this.
Thank you, Dave. Jolene, you will start next.
Okay.
The next question is, what is your opinion regarding blighted properties in Ripon that are brownfield sites if the owner has walked away from them? Is this a city issue or a county issue?
So blighted properties, and if the owner has walked away, first of all, I like to think that we have a caring community and that nobody would do that, but we know that that does happen, doesn't it? So, but at a base level, I want to make sure that the city is doing all it can to make sure that we are working with those property owners before that issue gets out of hand. And I think there's been a wonderful tool that has been implemented on our website for the city where someone can put in a concern. Again, this is about how can our citizens engage? What does the transparency look like? So getting that message out that if you see something that looks like it's not being taken care of, what is it? Is there a health issue with this individual? Are they struggling financially? It's hard for me to believe that there are that many people that just don't care. I know that that can exist, but I really believe in the goodness and care of people in this community and of neighbors. So the issue, as you said, is it a city or county? For me, what good does it say? Let's say we say it's the county. This is affecting our community in this city. So this naturally is a city issue because when people come into this city, they want to feel welcome. They want to know, is this well kept up? And again, the people have freedom within reason to do what they want in their yards, you know, maybe have gardens, these types of things. I'm for making sure that this last year we had no mow, for example, you know, that we're not overly policing things that are good, you know, we're having the conversation. But inherently, no matter where this falls, we as a city need to care about how our city, how our community looks. Thank you.
Thank you, Jolene. Dave?
Okay. I don't know how many blighted properties we have as far as been abandoned, but when we do, I think I agree with Jolene. It's in our town. We need to do what we can to take care of it. We are doing things, though. We've got programs out there to help people. A lot of these properties, you know, paint's peeling, things that, you know, you got things of that nature. You know, you can have people of limited incomes, older people that have they don't have the money to fix their house. And we're getting programs together for that, and I think it's going to be very good for everyone. You know, you got to pick the whole neighborhood up. The days of people helping neighbors, I like what we do here still. You know, I was gone for a while. My neighbor did my sidewalk for me while I was gone. I mean, we need to go back to more of that. But we do have things in place. We've got inspections, code enforcement, because a lot of these properties that are not in good shape are rental properties. And there's no excuse for a rental property to be there, and that's where our code enforcement comes in. And we have been doing things to get a little more teeth in that to take care of these properties.
Thank you, Dave. Ted?
I had to follow up on both of their answers. Like Dave said, we do have a program for lower income or elderly individuals to help give their yards a face or houses a facelift. So whether it's a rundown porch or a paint needed or a roofing project. And we gave out close to a dozen grants last year for that program. And I believe there are still a few available for this year as well. So that's a program that helps the early blight. There's different levels of blight and progressions. As it moves along and becomes an abandoned property, whether it's a city or a county issue, I believe it's both, depending on the scale of the blight. Even when you get into the brownfield situations, I believe the state has a role to play as well. So it's a multi-government issue for the severe problems. But hopefully all the governments working together can solve that problem. And like they both said, we do need to work on blight. With code enforcement is definitely come a long way in the last 2 years. We've, during the summer months, we have a person from the police department that concentrates just on code enforcement, as well as the building inspector does help out with that, and the city administrator. So many people are working on that as well. So everything working together, governments working together, is a way to solve the blight issue.
Thank you. And Dave, you'll answer first next. How should the city of Ripon be involved in economic development? Should the city be involved in economic development?
The city should definitely be involved in economic development. My personal beliefs from years ago, I would have said no. But it's at the point now where you can't be competitive if you don't do it. And we can sit back and watch businesses go elsewhere. So to me, it's huge to come in and help businesses thrive, because it helps the city thrive. I believe it's money well spent. So I definitely am good with what we've been doing and will continue to do to get business in here.
Yes, and I agree that the city definitely has to play a role in economic development. We have limited funds, but we can use them creatively. We are setting up a community development authority, which will allow us through that authority to combine public and private sector financing for projects, whether it's low interest loans or grants or just assistance to businesses. With that mechanism, we can reach a lot more people than just using public financing. Another way that we help economic development is with housing projects. Our current employers in the city, their number one issue for the larger employers is, where do we get our new employees to live? There's almost no housing available in Ripon, whether it's rental or purchase. The housing must increase, and we are working with a few developers to increase housing currently, and there are more knocking on our door, trying to find locations for them to build housing for us. But like Dave said, they're requiring incentives, whether it's the city building roads to access their new developments, or just assistance in helping the first-time home buyers purchase the lot, or a small incentive for a builder to build several houses. So there's many ways that the city will help, and as we have funds to do it, we will help with economic development.
Thank you, Ted. Jolene?
Should the city be involved in economic development? I wholeheartedly believe yes. Some people will say that if you are not growing, you are dying. What does it look like to move to the future with a community that is attracting the businesses that will carry us into the future? We need to constantly be thinking about that. I think we also need to be thinking about, again, how are we having good paying jobs for the people that are here so they can stay here. It's so unfortunate. We just learned, what was it, last week, a business is leaving Marquezine, a large business. That's devastating for that community. What can we do to make sure that if a business has to leave, that we are diverse, that we are multifaceted in the options we have for our business, for those that want to not only live here, but work here. Speaking of new business and attracting new, that is so important. But I also want to emphasize the importance of supporting those businesses that are already here. I think that is also, I want our local businesses to know that we are a partner, the city, with the current local business owners. And I heard from an employee at a large local business who said, I didn't realize the city council, cared about us. All we hear about is the parking issues that we have when we park somewhere. And that was so sad for me. And it's not something that I don't believe is our fault. But could we be doing a better job? And I want to loudly say that yes, our city council, at the end of the day, we're also ambassadors. If it's not about even implementing new ordinances or things like that, or zoning, or again, housing, attracting, we are ambassadors to this city to attract and retain business, economic development. Also, I want to say, working locally, but also with those in our county.
Thank you, Jolene. And on that note, I would like to remind our viewers that all of the city council meetings, forum, any kind of meetings such as this, city councils, are all taped and are on YouTube for citizens to watch. So that is all information that is out there and accessible to you as the public. My next question is going to go kind of into what we touched on a couple of places in the last question, which is housing. What is your opinion on housing in Ripon? Is there an adequate supply? What sort of housing should we be looking to encourage, especially due to higher costs of living, specifically when it comes to rent and home ownership? This is a long one we can go through again if you need to. What are some ideas or programs that you think would help mitigate the rental situation and lack of affordable housing in the city? And Dave, you get to start. No, Ted. Sorry.
All right, so housing in Ripon, do we have enough? No, the absolutely answer is no. We are working hard to bring in more housing of many types. Currently, most of the housing that's being built in Ripon is, for new housing, is in the neighborhood of $300,000 to $400,000 or $500,000 homes. For most people, that is not affordable. The people that can build and buy those homes, I'm happy you're here, keep building them, but we also need to build for lower and middle income people. There's a couple of developments that we're working on that will hit the middle income pretty nicely, but we're still lacking for housing for the lower income. One good thing about the newer middle income housing is it might open up some of the other housing in town. There's one project that will be mostly apartments that will possibly get people to move from the less expensive houses in town into the apartments opening those up for the lower income people. That's at least our hope for a good portion of them. But there are other strategies that we have to try. The city has a parcel of land that we're eyeing. We don't have any agreements in place, but we are looking at it to possibly put a development in for more affordable housing. But that's probably 5 years down the road before that would come to fruition. So we are working on it, but we definitely have more work to do.
Jolene?
Yeah, I'll echo what the mayor has said. I mean, the housing study we did, it's loud and clear. We have a huge shortage of housing, of all different kinds of housing, to be clear. What's interesting, I brought this along for this exact reason, because I thought it would come up tonight. We, as city council members, get the municipality magazine, and on page 9, the top story is Wisconsin is experiencing a significant housing shortage. A recent study estimates Wisconsin will need to build 200,000 housing units by 2030 to accommodate all the people who want to live and work here. So it talks about how do we do this? Collaboration with Wisconsin Realtors Association, Builders Association, different tools and resources, best practices. So for me, as a local city council member, what I feel like I can do is keep an eye and listen to what other cities are doing for creative ideas. I heard recently there was, I believe it is in Sheboygan, that some employers are working with workforce housing. What can we do here to continue that? I also am for being creative for multi-generational housing, looking at zoning, looking at the best use of building on our land. These are all critical things. We don't realize that sort of the parcels and the setbacks of property lines can all be limiting, and were set many, many years ago when we didn't have these same issues. So I'm all for all ideas to make sure that we can have workforce housing that meets the needs of our community.
Thank you. Dave?
Well, definitely. I mean, you can look around, a house goes on the market here, it's sold in a week. I mean, we've got to do something, and we have been. You couldn't get a contractor to come in here. It was just hard. I think we're showing where we're open to new ideas, and, I think about, especially like my kids, the younger guy, they're getting married a little later, but they still want to buy a home. And there are so many ways of doing this. We can change our codes. Not everybody wants a half-acre lot in a 2,500 square foot house. And we need to do more mixed use, things like that. And we are working on this. And I'm pretty excited about all the contractors that have been contacting us. They're contacting us now. And I guess I have to say be patient. It's just, with the interest rate still a little high, but I think in the next year or two, you're going to see a lot of good things happening here, because there's a lot of things, if it comes to pass, we will be doing way better with our housing. And the other thing with the older homes, we have some beautiful old homes in this city, and I'd really like to see us get more effort on getting them back to their glory of what they were when they were built 100 years ago. I'd love to see something happen there. So, but yeah, we definitely need more housing.
Thank you. Jolene, you will start next. Many cities in the U.S. are adopting resolutions to support a ceasefire in Gaza. Is this something you would support as a city council member?
First, I want to say that what is happening in Gaza is tragic. It is heartbreaking, and it troubles me. Where there is any place in the world that is hurt, it's troubling. I am someone who cares deeply. I believe I have a strong faith. I pray for these individuals. So I want to say that first of all. As a local city, to make a statement. I think what's different is for me, I can unequivocally make a statement as to perhaps how I feel, but I'm hesitant to use my platform with the city to make a stance on something that is not directly impacting the city. That's hard for me to say because I'm very careful that the strength of this city is how we come together, work together, and we get to that by focusing on the local issues. When I go out and knock on the doors, people want to continue to ask me, are you Democrat, Republican? This is nonpartisan. What do you care about the border? People always want to push me in that corner. And I have found success at bringing people together. I think they've come to trust me because I focus on, well, what does this issue mean to you locally? So until someone can come to me and say how this issue is impacting us locally, for example, are we welcoming maybe some refugees? Absolutely, I'm all for that. How are we helping, what are we, maybe we, fundraiser, bringing awareness, attention, to make a stance I'm hesitant. But I say that with heavy heart. I welcome those to contact me to tell me otherwise. But I really feel that the strength I can bring is continue to look at our local issues and to have an eye on what's happening around us personally and bring awareness where I can on a personal level. But in my role as a city council member, I care about local.
And Dave.
Well, what's happening in Gaza, I think everyone agrees. It's just horrible. I watch it. I can't imagine what those people are going through. And, but it's a stay in your lane type thing. I mean, we're city council members. We're here to do infrastructure, housing, make sure the trash is picked up. That to get into something like that as a city council, when we start getting, because there's nothing we can do about it. If you have a complaint that your trash isn't getting picked up, that's what we do. That we can do things about. But there's nothing as a council we can do about Gaza or any of the other international things that are going out there. So it's just, to me, we just stay away from that and worry about what we should be worrying about, which is doing the best we can for this city.
Thank you. Ted?
And I would agree with both of them on the fact that it's not the role of the city to pass a resolution requesting a ceasefire. However, with this platform, I will ask all the people at home. My personal feeling on this is there absolutely should be a ceasefire, and we should be contacting the White House, contacting your Congress people, senators and Congress, and asking them bare minimum to have our UN representation stop vetoing the ceasefire resolutions coming from the UN. Because that is the most effective place for the ceasefire request to come from, is the United Nations. But we need to contact our federal representation to ask them to do that. But from the city level, whether we pass a resolution or not, it's going to make no bearing on the situation. It is an awful situation. It needs to end. And the way to do that is to contact the White House, contact Congress.
Follow-up question for that. Do you think that the role of small city government plays into higher levels of government if you were or were to not adopt that resolution here? We were just talking about talking to the higher ups. Does that show that as a city to the larger group? Do you understand what I'm saying?
You're just, I guess what you're saying is, since we're, mayor, council, that we can go to the next layer.
Not that,
and
if you're a governmental body,
yes,
even for a small town,
right,
that's still wouldn't you still say that you still have a voice and a responsibility?
I would
Either way.
say no. I would say you guys have the voice. It won't do us any good, but I guarantee if everyone here called your congressman, it makes a huge difference. I think it'd make a bigger difference than what we can do. So whatever your feelings are on anything, I think it's up to citizens. As a private citizen, I call them. And the more people that do it, the more people that send letters, whatever the cause, it is very effective. And I think not sending the form letters or any of that, but you personally, in your own words, send something, it has a lot more meaning than we would ever have voting on something. So that's something you guys, to me, would be the way to do that.
Thank you. Ted or Jolene, you want to?
Yeah, I will differ with Dave on this one. I think it depends on the topic. For example, the ceasefire. That ceasefire doesn't directly affect the operations of the city. It is important to get, but it doesn't affect us directly. If the topic is one that the federal government or the state government is trying to pass something that will affect us, an informative resolution from the council could possibly sway the decision. But if it's just something that has no bearing on the city whatsoever, I feel the same, that the avenue is to contact on a personal level your representation. There's been a few topics where I have contacted as the mayor, I have contacted the governor's office or our state representation and spoken on behalf of the city. However, there was no resolution to back it, but it was trying to sway a state level decision that would directly affect us. But it really, in my opinion, is a case-by-case basis.
I think when there are topics that maybe myself as an elected official being involved in discussions have information that maybe the everyday citizen in this community doesn't have, it's my right to make these tough decisions and sometimes make a stance, and perhaps that means a resolution. In the case of what's happening in Gaza, we have no special, sessions, conversations. I don't have special information that others don't have. And so also my role is to represent my district. So if I were to do that, I'd want to then see in this community, are we having discussions? I would support that, having discussions, having forums. And I do believe that there are places for resolutions. So for example, fair maps, gerrymandering. But gerrymandering affects us in this city. It's a statement when a city passes a resolution to state you want something to make a statement to the state. But again, that's a topic that we have an invested interest. It affects us inherently here. And so that's an example of when I do believe that a city entity can make a case that our state may, and hopefully federal government, may take note of.
Thank you. This will be our last question for the night, and hopefully it'll be one that you enjoy a little bit more. Reminding me who started the last round? Ted. All right, so then Jolene.
It was Ted's turn. I started the last one.
Ted, you will start. Thank you, Dave. At least someone's on the ball here. Is there an issue that you are passionate about that hasn't received much attention in the press or on council board that you'd like to see action on?
An issue that hasn't received much press. Well, I think one thing that we are working hard on that has received some press but could certainly use more is their development of the parks and the Parks and Rec Department. The last few years, we've done significant improvements to Murray Park with the trails and the community center up there. This year, we're looking at, we're not sure if it's going to be a project for this year or a project for next year, but we're getting it developed. Selfridge Park would get a significant overhaul with some new playground equipment, trails, kayak launches, piers for fishing, that type of thing, just to give a good facelift to Selfridge Park. So we're working on the parks one at a time, but we do have a large master plan to get through all the parks. Barlow Park has a lot of plans, but it's a very big, expensive park to do. So that is why we're trying to tackle the ones that we can now. And when funding comes along that we can tackle the big ones, we will. But other projects, I mean, we're doing so many, it's hard to keep straight which ones aren't getting the press.
Thank you. Jolene?
For me, we talk about the parks. It's so exciting for me because it brings different generations together. Our parks are free to use. I love supporting areas in the community where we can help bring people together across political lines, which is so desperately needed in this world that seems forever more divided. I think Ripon seems like a beacon of hope for coming together. So that being said, we're a community where we probably can't afford to have a sustainability manager like some cities, but to always kind of be taking note of how does development in one area affect perhaps water runoff? How does it affect, again, when we build somewhere, how does this play into the larger infrastructure? This is something that I want to be keenly aware of, and I think we're doing these things by having these larger plans because it allows input. It allows people to not work in a silo when they're informing each other. So I'm really proud that we voted this last council meeting to have a new position for the city to help with communication. And I think that individual will really help with communication, both going out from the city to informing and also bringing information in. So that is an area that I think the importance of good local, our local newspaper who's here tonight, good local information sources never gets enough attention because we take it for granted until it's not there.
Thank you.
Well, when I was going around getting signatures, and this problem was before that, but I had a lot of people telling me the same thing. What do you have for our kids? And by kids, I mean middle school, high school. And my daughter's 25, my youngest is 25. And if any of you have teenagers, how many times do you hear, there's nothing to do here? And they're right. And I don't think we're spending enough time or effort getting them involved in whatever. And one thing I'd like is if there are middle or high school students that are listening to this right now, I would love for you to contact me and let me know just what we can do for you, because there's more to do than run up and down Watson. So, and I watch them do this, and they make their own fun, but we should just have more for them, and I'd love to get some input from them to see what it is we can do here, especially using the parks, library, schools. There's got to be something that, with their help, I'd love to support something like that.
Thank you. And now we will go into our closing minute each for you. I would say closing arguments, but we're not in court, so it'll just be your closing. Jolene, you can start.
Sure. First of all, it's been an honor to serve District 4, but also to be able to be trusted and have conversations with so many of you that are even here today and those listening, and an honor to serve with my colleagues. I feel as though the city is in a good place, but I also feel that important work is ahead of us, and we cannot rest on our laurels. So I believe that our city leaders need to be effective, need to ask good questions, be guided by ethics, but always be willing to listen. And I'm going to try my best to continue to do that. So I have no agenda other than really trying the best to serve all of those who live, work, play and pray here in Ripon, and so I would be honored to earn the vote again for a second term from District 4 for the city of Ripon, a place that I love.
Thank you.
Well, I want to start by thanking League of Women Voters. I didn't really know much about you guys, and we had a couple of discussions since then, and I really appreciate what you guys do. It's very important, and awesome job, you guys. Just what you guys want to do. I guess the only thing I'd say is don't be afraid to call us, email us. There's a lot of people that aren't afraid at all, but I enjoy engaging with people, and it's just fun. And don't even think you have to, I hear, well, I'm not in your district. No, I don't care. If you got good ideas, if you got problems, feel free to talk to any of us. We work for you. So just anytime you got a problem, or if you have an idea, anything at all, feel free to talk to us. And look forward to representing you guys for another 4 years.
Ted?
I would like to thank you for inviting us here again tonight. And just like to say it's been an honor to serve for the last 4 years, and happy to serve for another 2, and see what happens after that. And like you said, feel free to contact me anytime. Over the last 4 years, I've received numerous emails from constituents in the city, some people from out of the city, some people from out of the state. In the last 3 weeks, there was a topic that got me a lot of emails. Almost all were very supportive, and I appreciate all that. I may not have responded to all of you or very many of you, but I have listened to what you had to say, and I appreciate the comments. It kind of helps me steer where people want us to go. So please continue to do so, and I look forward to serving another 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you all for coming tonight. I would like to remind everyone here and our viewers at home that the election will be on April 2nd. As of right now, we're going to take a 5-minute intermission, and then we will be back to talk to our school board candidates. All right?
Thank you.
I don't have a whole introduction because we did that earlier. But yay, Carrie Chapman Catt was born here, 19th Amendment. Woo! All right. Tonight we have Shannon Lampe and Katie Grady. Unavailable tonight are Lori Machmueller, Kelley Nielsen, and Denise Martinez. All right, we're going to do our opening statements. Shannon, you will go first. Katie, you will follow. Then Katie, you will get the first question. Okay?
Hi, my name is Shannon Lampe, and I just moved here not too long ago, about 7 months now. I have 2 kids, and they both go to school in the district. One's in kindergarten, one's in 5th grade. And before it was homeschooling, and I was really impressed with what Ripon School District is doing. So I was like, I want to be involved and do my part in it too. So that's why I chose to be on the school district.
All right. Good evening. My name is Katie Grady. I have been living in Ripon most of my life. I was born and raised here, and I'm an alumnus of Ripon High School as well. I did leave for school, and my husband and I recently moved back a handful of years ago. But I'm primarily running for school board because, one, I have a personal history with it, but two, I have 2 young kids in the district as well. And it's been really incredible to see them come back through the district and have a lot of the same teachers that I had, actually. So that's been pretty exciting. But in addition to being a parent and having gone through the school district myself, I am a mental health provider. I'm a clinical social worker here in town. And so I primarily see children and adolescents. And so a lot of the mental health of our youth in Ripon is very near and dear to my heart. And I see a lot of kids that live here. And so just doing the best I can to impact our youth in a positive way and to keep the amazing legacy that Ripon School District has going into the future.
Thank you. And then Katie, you will take the first question.
Okay.
Are there any specific school programs you are exceptionally passionate about?
Yes, kind of going right off of my introduction then, there has been an incredible effort within the past several years to incorporate mental health and social emotional learning into the schools. I know that they partner with a couple of different private entities that have their providers coming in and seeing kids within the school buildings themselves. I was actually one of those providers last school year, and so that's been great. They have different spaces with physical spaces within the buildings themselves for mental health care, regulation, that kind of thing. But additionally, having my kids in the lower elementary schools, I've noticed that they have really moved towards an emphasis of that social emotional learning piece. And I think that is so incredible. And I think we all benefit from having our kids learning those important skills and things like that. So I would say just that incorporation and partnership of mental health within the school district would be a primary passion.
Shannon.
Could you repeat the question again?
Of course. Are there any specific school programs that you are exceptionally passionate about?
I guess just history. I haven't really known too much about Ripon School District for very long, but that's very important to learn history and have wisdom and know what happened before. So I'd really love that. And I like that the school district does that, the cleaning the teeth and the fluoride shots, because I did that when I was little, and that wasn't even around when my kids were in school in Illinois before I took them out. And that's an A+ too. And I don't know, and they just everything they're doing, teaching my son to read and everything. He comes home, he's reading books now, and it's bam. So they're doing a really great job what they're doing there. So that's it.
Excellent. Thank you. Shannon, you will start this question first.
Okay.
How do you feel the school district is doing addressing bullying in the school system? And do you have any other ideas to help?
Well, as far as I know, no one is being bullied that I've known, but the school district is like got their eye on the ball, because I do get like dojo messages like your daughter or your son was pushed on the playground, but then I ask him and he's like, oh, that was just my friend, so it wasn't a big thing. But the teachers are letting the parents know, so we can actually do something, so that's great. And I would just encourage to that keep going, that the teachers are like, hey, parents, this is what's happening, and so do you want to take care of this? So I like that, this open and letting us know.
Excellent.
Okay. I have a few different thoughts on this. So one is it's a very difficult time to be a kid and a teenager, and I think bullying has taken on an entirely new face than from when a lot of us were still in school. I think that the school is absolutely doing the best that they can. I think it's difficult to monitor all of the different avenues that people can use to bully each other these days. I do think that kind of playing the long game a little bit, like focusing on those skills of empathy and compassion and things like that with our younger kids and all the way through the school, years is going to help with the preventative piece, instead of only trying to put out the fires, try to do that preventative piece. I also think just from a community level, when Jolene was up here earlier, she was talking about, crossing lines of ideology and things like that. And I think that having any amount of emphasis on compassion and empathy and listening to each other, and having us as the adults set that example. So I think that the school is doing what they can. I think that emphasizing those social skills early is helpful, but then I also think that community and parents need to take responsibility too and be good role models for that behavior.
Excellent. I'm going to circle back to something that we have previously talked about, since we're still working in this same vein of ideas here. And Katie, it's your turn, I believe. Would you support examining the possibility of adding more social and mental health services in the district?
Yes. Of course I do. I don't think that there can never be an excess of that. I think that social emotional learning and mental health is everything. And I think that it impacts everything. It impacts children's academics. It impacts their ability to interact with each other. It impacts the types of citizens they're going to be. It impacts their connection to the community. It impacts absolutely everything. And so I think that that more would always be beneficial.
Thank you. Shannon?
Well, I would say no, because I think that as far as they have now, that seems to be enough, and I don't think that they need to have more, I don't know, like empathy and feelings, because at least I know my kids do. So I would guess that at school they're already making everyone feel the exact same way that my kids are. So I would think that no.
Thank you. And then Shannon, you will start this one. How do you feel the relationship between the school district and the city is? Are there improvements to be made, and what are they?
No, I think the city is doing a great job. And I was just telling the city board members that, like, I absolutely love living in this city, and that the school is awesome that the kids go to, and the parks are great and everything. So I don't know. I think that I'm so nervous. Sorry. But I think that everything is wonderful as it is right now with the city and the school board working together, seems great.
Thank you. Katie?
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Of course. How do you feel the relationship between the school district and the city is? Are there improvements to be made, and if so, what?
I think that the communication that goes out from the school district to the community is excellent. I think that they do it in a lot of different avenues. As a parent of children in the school district, I know that we get several different types of messages. So we get updates via the class dojo, like Shannon was saying, email, newsletters, things like that. So I do think that the communication is really strong. And I think that from what I've seen and experienced from the opposite end of things, for the city and how it supports the school district, I do think that we have a supportive district that that values our schools and values our teachers. I think the part of the question was, are there any improvements to be made? I would definitely always like to see more community support for our teachers. What can we do better as parents and community members to help support one of the most difficult professions that there is?
Thank you. Shannon, you will start with the next one.
Okay.
Across the nation in schools, we have seen an unprecedented amount of censorship, specifically when it comes to book bans. How will you ensure this practice will not happen in our small town?
Just communication, let people know that this is what people want to happen, I guess, and then let them know, like, this is what it really is. I don't know, just communication, just to let people know exactly what's happening so that they can voice their opinion and help the school, the board, help make that decision for them. So that's my answer.
Thank you.
The question was to help, what are we going to do to ensure it does not happen here?
How will you ensure this practice will not happen in our small town?
Okay. I think that this is a little bit of a tough question, but I think that there is a school district that the name of the town is escaping me, and I apologize, but very recently they had a number of books pulled off of their library shelves in the school district, and the district reviewed every single one of them and ended up putting every single one of them back on the shelves with a new policy that it's kind of up to the parents to decide what they will allow their children to read and not read. I don't think that it is within the public school district's role to censor and filter that information. And so they kind of put it back as a family decision, and I thought that that was a really smart move. And so that would be something that that could be used to prevent that from happening here.
Excellent. It's your turn?
I believe so.
All right. Thank you for helping, both of you. With the increase in school choice and vouchers, how do you feel Ripon can position itself and be competitive? Also, is the increase in voucher program something to be concerned about?
I think that the Ripon School District, looking at the different school districts in the area, is highly competitive. And I do think that the Ripon School District is a standout district in the area, and a lot of people would like to open enroll in Ripon. So I do think we are already competitive. I think that a lot of the opportunities that are provided to students in preparing them for those next steps is important. I know there's a great youth apprenticeship program at the high school where a lot of kids are getting that on-site job experience, that type of thing. And so I think that those engaging opportunities for students really is one of the many things that makes Ripon competitive. In terms of the voucher program, I honestly would have to probably get some more information before I could give you a more formed opinion on that.
Thank you. Shannon?
Everything that she said, really, I'm like, I don't know much about the voucher program either, so I'd have to get more information on that. And yeah, like, it seems like that we're doing all the steps that we need to do to do how she said, doing half college when you're in high school and everything, that's a great step. And yeah, and I don't know really much about the voucher program at all. So I'd have to get more information, and I'd like to get more information.
Thank you. This is our last question of the evening. We'll go to Shannon first, and then after that, you will have 1 minute for your closing remarks, okay?
Okay.
And I try not to make it a hard one for that. What do you feel the largest issue facing the school district is right now?
Well, I don't see too much of, I don't know, their issues too much that they even have. It kind of seems from the meetings that I've went to so far, when I got what the school district is doing, pamphlet that we're going over and beyond all places even around us, I brought it to my brother to be look at where my kids are going to school, because it's just really awesome here. And I forgot what the question was. What was it?
What do you feel is the largest issue facing the school district?
Oh, the largest issue.
Good or bad?
Well, okay then. We just don't probably have, I'm assuming a lot of people would like to be in this school district, and maybe bigger schools after we get a bigger population. And that would really be the only downside I have noticed whatsoever, because it's Ripon all the way.
Thank you. Katie?
I think one of the biggest issues is probably teacher retention and substitute teacher availability. That's what I've heard a lot about from many of the teachers that I know and people who work within the buildings, is just that there's a constant scrambling and shuffling to try to cover those rooms and those classes. So I think just making sure that it's a desirable place to be a teacher, make sure that the teachers are well supported, and then also, again, helping support those teachers with that substitute availability.
Thank you. And we will each have 1 minute for closing remarks. You did the last question, so Katie, you will start.
Okay. Well, thank you to everybody who was here tonight. And thank you to Shannon also for coming so that we could have this discussion. I would just like to say that I'm very passionate about this community, very passionate about this school district, and I would very much love to be a part of what makes it so great. So I would just ask you to please get out and vote in early April. Thank you.
And thank you for inviting us, and thank you for having it so open for everyone to know who their candidates are that they're voting for. And I'm very happy to be participating in the school board and doing my part and being involved in the school. And I would love to be on the school board, so please vote for me in April. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you both, ladies. And once again, we will be voting on April 2nd. The election is April 2nd. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for watching at home. And that concludes this evening. Have a wonderful night.